So most women want curves and a big butt, right? But donk. Junk in the trunk. Her body's so snatched that she gets BBL allegations. You want to be called Miss New Booty when you walking down the street. So you're grinding in the gym, my loves. You're hitting those squats. You're hitting those RDLs, right? Like you're doing the work. You're putting the work in. But the results are flat. No pun intended, right? Why are you putting in the hours, but your jeans aren't filling out how you want them to? I'll tell you exactly why. You cannot out-train bad chemistry. I'm going to say that one more again for the people in the back. You cannot out-train bad chemistry. Your body isn't fighting you, my loves. It's waiting for you to simply respect its structure.
What? Oh, junk in the trunk. Junk in the trunk. Woo, girl. You sure is swollen. Round about your colon.
So let's talk about curves, right? Curves, the kind that fill out jeans, right? That make you double take in the mirror, the kind where you gotta jump up, put them things on, right? Like Beyonce said, if you don't jump to put jeans on, baby, you don't feel my pain. So I ask you this: are two things working together? Distribution, right? The first one, where your body parks its cushion, more cushion for the pushing. And then dimension, which is like the muscle underneath that gives it that shape and that lift, right? It gives you that percolated lift, right? So you are the contractor, my loves, but your hormones are the architect. If the architect is confused, your contractor is pouring concrete in the wrong place, like the waistline instead of the booty, right? So today we're tapping into the hormonal drama that's still in your shape and giving you the blueprint to get the architect and the contractor on the same page, right? So let's talk power. My loves, your body is a masterpiece of biology, and your hormones run a construction site. You need to know everything. You need to know their names, their roles, and what makes them sabotage your structure. So your hormones are basically the group chat that decides where you store fat, right? How easily you build muscle, how hungry you feel, and how much energy you even have to do a workout in the first place. So whether your body feels safe enough to grow or if it's just trying to survive. So let's talk about this. Estrogen, right? So estrogen, I would consider this the architect, right? So at healthy levels, this hormone prefers like glutathione storage, right? Which is like storage like in the hips and the thighs over the waist, right? And that stops that, what y'all call that pouch from building, right? So that's protective, right? That's feminine power. But when stress is high or sleep is low from a bunch of things, right? Estrogen signal, it flips towards the midsection, right? So estrogen flips the signal from booty to belly. You don't want that. Now we got to talk about sleep, like we just said. So the night crew, melatonin and deep sleep. That's when your growth hormone creates more gains, right? That's where the glute gains happen and the tissue repair actually starts to happen, right? So no sleep, no shape. You need the night crew on their job. No sleep, no shape. It's not happening. Put the phone away. Make your room cool as possible. Cut off Netflix. Turn off all the blue lights. I'm sorry. You need to get your 7 to 9 hours of sleep, my love. That's more important, right? So let's focus on what's more important. Cortisol, right? So this is almost what I would consider like your tempo killer, right? So cortisol is your stress hormone, right? So high at night and low in the morning, that's the pattern that steals from the hips and the parks fat in the waist and in the midsection. So you can't build a strong base when your body is constantly in panic mode. And then insulin. So this is like the traffic cop, right? So this officer is the traffic cop for calories, right? So things like all day snacking keeps it in store mode, right? It blunts fat burning and invites waist gain, right? Not weight, but waist gain. So you need periods of smooth and idle and not constant demand. And I know this phrase right here scares a lot of women, but let's decode the real threat. Estrogen dominance. So this usually means that your estrogen is high relative to progesterone, right? Your body isn't clearing out enough estrogen, right? It's not clearing it out well enough. So if you ignore it, it will keep stealing your results. So this creates the fat pattern shift. So when this ratio is off, your body leans towards central storage, right? That's the, I'm training my glutes, but my waist starts to look a little bit more fuller than I want it to, right? So the architect is miscommunicating the blueprint. So estrogen dominance, it blocks that junk in the trunk, that wagon that you're trying to drag. And it gives you that stress in the waist and in the midsection area. But you don't want that. So Higher estrogen activity without enough progesterone balance can invite fluid retention and tenderness as well. So you start to feel puffy and not, I ain't gonna say chiseled, but sculpted, right? Especially in like the late cycle days, right? And so your liver packages used estrogens for removal. So your gut is supposed to send them out. But if those systems are not talking to each other well enough through things like constipation, not getting enough fiber in your diet, right? Estrogen start to recirculate in the body. That's like rehiring that toxic employer, getting back with that old toxic man, right? That old toxic boyfriend. You just have to let it go. You have to clean the drain, ladies. You have to. So let's talk marker root, right? Well, hold up. Before we go any further, right now, there's a link below to download the natural BBL blueprint. This is the framework that takes the theory and everything that we're talking about right now, all the information that we're dropping right now, and applies it to your diet, your training, and your cycle. So there's things like grocery lists for omnivores, vegans, pescatarians, workouts, how to understand macros, and much more. So just understand everything that we're talking about right now is important. But at the end of the day, ladies, you need structure and not just a pill, right? So let's get back to marker root. So marker root isn't estrogen in a capsule. It's an adaptogen, right? It supports your stress response and gives you the steady energy, right? And it helps you show up consistently so your hormone rhythm and your training can finally build the structure, right? So think of marker almost like a cosign for your body signals. And what most people don't realize is that marker root is actually a vegetable, right? It's a cruciferous vegetable, a part of like, the family that's like cabbage and kale, broccoli, vegetables like that. So with everybody's juice, we use a tricolor approach because a woman's biology is not one note. It's not monolithic, right? So you need different kinds of support at different times. So let's start with yellow, right? So yellow marker root, which is like, I would consider almost like your daily driver, right? It helps with like, building that consistency up and building your metabolism up, right? So yellow is like your baseline keeper, right? So it gives you that everyday steady energy, right? It also carries something called macamides, right? Which are compounds that are linked with like resilience and focus and steady energy. So when you consume this, think of fewer midday fades, less I'll go to the gym tomorrow, I'll lift tomorrow. So when energy is even, your insulin drama drops and those cravings that you have, they start to dwindle down as well. So yellow keeps you even, right? So the workouts that build dimension can actually happen. So remember that insulin cop that we talked about, right? So when your energy is even, insulin drama, like it starts to drop, right? It starts to dwindle down. So you stop white knuckling through the week and overeating at night. This supports that crucial use it or lose it message your body needs to get rid of the stress fat and reveal the work that you're actually putting in, my loves. Yellow marker root simply keeps you disciplined, right? So the workouts that you are doing actually start to show up. And next we got red marker root, right? So red marker root is more so like your rhythm keeper, right? Like to keep you calm, right? And to keep that waistline where you want it to be, right? It doesn't, explode and create that pouch that y'all be talking about all the time, right? So think of red marker root as like the cool aunt, right? When she shows up, man, you at Thanksgiving, all your other family members there, but it's just like your cool auntie there. All right, it's cool. It's gonna be a good time. It's a soothing feeling that it gives you, right? Think of that's how red marker root makes you feel, especially when hormones are loud and active in the late luteal days, right? It's like your rhythm buffer. And then last but not least, we got to talk about black marker root, right? So this is like your go button, right? This is where power and drive and shape are built, right? So black marker root is the gas pedal, right? It's the one that people feel like that oomph, you know what I'm saying? So it helps to build muscle. It helps with your libido as well. And it's probably the most energizing strand, right? Giving you that drive and that output to finish your workouts, right? And get that one last extra clean set. So understand this, ladies. Curves need dimension, right? Mechanical tension is what tells glutes to grow. So black marker root helps you find that one extra clean rep, right? More tension, better neuromuscular focus, right? So when all that happens, hello lift, and shape, right? That's the goal. That's what we after, right? So you need all three. So if your goal is soft, where it should be soft, and strong, where it should be strong, you need all three, my loves, to create that steady baseline, right? So you need yellow to keep you even killed and to help your metabolism. You need red to protect that hormonal rhythm, right? And you need black to give you that reliable performance in the gym and when you're working out and when you're exercising. It's how we respect the body that changes across the month but still demands consistent results, right?
Y'all, I always been a skinny girl, but the way the shape is starting to set up lately, I've been putting in the work, yeah, but ever since I added this maca, the shape just hitting different.
Support the baseline, protect the rhythm, light it up in the gym, and let your effort finally show up as shape. And before we go, I gotta talk about macros, right? And we mentioned this earlier when we were talking about the natural BBL blueprint, right? But macros are more than just calories, right? So when it comes to hormones and where you store fat, like they matter like for like the whole picture, right? Not just in isolation. So I'm talking about proteins, carbs, and fats. So protein is the first non-negotiable, right? So when you consistently get enough protein, you give your body what it needs to build and maintain lean mass, right? Which keeps your metabolism higher and improves insulin sensitivity. And maca root, funny enough, is a protein, ladies. It's one of the most universal roots that we have. So think about this. Better insulin sensitivity means your body handles carbs more, right? More smoothly and is less likely to, stunt your growth and put that weight gain to your belly. That doesn't happen, right? When you get enough protein. And then carbs. So carbs are all about context and time, right? So when they come mostly from like fiber-rich foods, right? Like slow digestion sources, right? They are paired with protein and fat. They can help support thyroid function, right? And provide glucose to your brain and muscles, which are actually needed. And then fats. So fats are the raw materials for a lot of your hormones, right? So I'm talking about cholesterol and certain fatty acids that are used to make steroid hormones like estrogen, progesterone, or even testosterone for that matter, right? So if your diet is extremely low in fat for a long time, especially with, low in overall calories, you can see issues with like, menstrual irregularities, a lack of libido, a low libido, fatigue, and that skinny but still soft around the middle look, right? Because your hormones that support muscle and proper fat distribution aren't being made efficiently, right? So I want you to hear this with love and clarity, right? I want you to be the best version of yourselves, ladies. Like that comes with hard work, that comes with dedication, right? The women that I've been helping, with, trying to build this quote unquote shelf, right? And not just a shelf, right? We talk about that, but it's more so about building a body and building a structure that you love, right? So your body is not fighting you, right? It's simply asking for better conditions to do what you're already working for. So support the baseline, like I said, protect the rhythm, and go in the gym and do what you have to do. The next step is execution. So the link is below, right? Download the Natural BBL Blueprint right now. Go get your maca root from everybodyjuice.com. That's linked below as well. Remember, ladies, summer bodies are built in the fall and winter, my loves. Now, go get that body stopped so you can get those BBL allegations. That's my time. To the next time. I see you when I see you. Peace out.